Alright, hey guys. Wanted to check out the newish, came out in the last couple years, I think. Taurus Arms Heritage Roscoe. Now, this is by Taurus, sold under the Heritage brand. It is effectively a Taurus 686 J-frame, well, closer to the 68 maybe. Few differences. It's made to be an older style J-frame. For comparison here, I've got an old 30s Smith & Wesson K-frame, and I just wanted to do some out-of-the-box impressions and maintenance on it. So, first thing I notice, for 350 bucks, that bluing is pretty dang impressive. So nice bluing all the way except for the top strap, which you can hopefully tell is pretty matte, so that when you're aiming down sights, you don't have any nasty glare from the sun. Back strap, unload, show clear, so people aren't freaking out that I'm aiming a gun at myself. Back strap, also fully blued, so it can be a little slick in the hand. This boot style grip, nice and checkered here. This grip is what I'm going to focus on quite a bit here. If you look at the 30s, Smith & Wesson, she's almost 100 years old, so her bluing is taking a beating, especially on the ejector rod and where the fingers on the cylinder have scored it a little bit, but hopefully on the plate you can tell, you can see a reflection in there. Looking nice, and just ever so slightly much deformation on the barrel there. Pencil barrel instead of this kind of bull barrel with the insert. So of course Taurus, for their import, famous for having this big thick barrel with the insert. Classically, the old, especially lighter Smith & Wessons, this one's in 38 short, if you didn't notice that the cylinder was shorter. So it's got this nice skinny pencil barrel. So I was going to focus on the grip. Two things. The grip flares way out at the bottom, so your hand doesn't want to slip off this way. Again, nice checkering. But if you get a nice high and tight grip, at least with my average sized hands, I shouldn't have worn a black shirt. This was stupid. This is just hard metal. There you go. You can see it on my pasty hand. This is just hard metal right on the webbing of your thumb. And even in a cartridge like 38 short, it can get a little uncomfortable and snappy sometimes. Here, I would have no issue loading this pretty hot at 38 plus P because the wood goes all the way up the back strap, or the tang, whichever terminology you prefer. And so there's this nice rounded wood sitting here. Oh, I didn't unload show clear on this one. Did that before the video, obviously. The flare out at the bottom is not nearly as exaggerated, but I don't feel like I'm going to lose control of that at all. The barrel's longer on this, so I've got more leverage, but nope. Feels rock solid. Maraca test? Yeah. Something's shaking around a little bit in there. I'm pretty sure that's the ejector screw. Isn't that crazy for a 100-year-old gun? Barely. It's a little bit of cylinder slop. That's it. These guns are incredibly made. There's a reason they retain their value so well, even in weird cartridges like this. Very impressed by the bluing. It's a deeper, blacker blue than the old Smith & Wesson stuff, but the old Smith & Wesson stuff's phenomenal. So let's get into some of the other differences. The sight, I already mentioned the top is matte. Give you a look. Can I aim you at me? Come on. You should see big, tall rear sights. Nice, chunky front sight. Pretty easy to line up. Especially for a snub nose. That's what you need. Quick target acquisition. Tiny half moon front blade. Tiny shallow rear trench. You spend a lot of time looking for this. And then once you've found it, it's pretty hard to line up. I hate these half moon front sights. They are, I don't want to say useless, but Colt had it right with those shark fins. Really difficult to see, especially blued. You'll see a lot of originals that have been like scuffed up by a file to give you that matte finish. That one wasn't done that way originally, so I'm not going to deface a 100-year-old gun to do that. All right, so of the grips, this is Smith & Wesson style action. So push forward on the cylinder release with your thumb, push through on the cylinder, and you have release. I want to show you an issue. Got some 38 snap caps here with the, whatchamacallit, the grip going all the way up to be more comfortable though. My God, I should have opened these beforehand. Live and learn. Loading, if you've loaded a revolver before, at least a hand ejector. Pretty simple. Hands are covered in ballistol right now, so. Snap caps sometimes don't want to go in. So, double action trigger pull. You can feel it stage all the way through. Obviously long, a little heavy. Creep, creep, third click. Wall. Creep, creep. There we go. Hammer falls. So, what do you expect from double action? Long, heavy, creepy. So just force your way through that. Average engagement distance is pretty dang close. Mash your way through that double action. If it is a farther away shot, we've got single action. Hammer snaps back nicely. Let's see how that single action trigger pull is. Tiny amount of creep. Wall. Little bit more creep. Wall. Hammer falls. So if you apply more pressure than that, take it a little less slow, it's pretty clean. It's not too bad a trigger. On my other J-frame, I dropped in a trigger lightning kit. There's a bunch of those. I think mine was by Apex Arms out in Arizona, if I remember correctly, but not too bad. That's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is the ejection process. You see that? This is the first time I've caught two. I know this is first impressions, but I have run like a couple cylinders of these snap caps through there. Because this grip is extended up here for comfort, those guys don't want to kick out even. So I'm going to reload this one more time. And this is a dry cylinder. The Tauruses, I've noticed, come dry as a bone from the factory for whatever reason, which I always think is a little odd. I guess they clean them up beforehand. So, click, uh-oh, I'm empty. Still had to shake one out there. I guess I don't have to close the cylinder. I can just do this again. So let's see if I reach over with the opposite hand, like you see in some doctrine. That's a good sign. So if you bang it, looks like that helps. So if you are used to one thumb as you're retrieving your speed loader, a little bit quicker reload, you might turn that into a two-step process of make sure those are free, slap it with your dominant hand, then start reloading. Something to keep in mind. Another thing that I've seen people do, there are plentiful grips for the Taurus J-frames out there. Or you could probably file this down on the ejector side. Maybe take it at a really shallow, like 10-degree angle, because it's just barely catching on this lip here. So you could probably file that down, restain it, but that'd be a shame. These rosewood grips are pretty nice looking. All right, let's get into some simple maintenance. Oh, another thing, another similarity you'll notice between these two. Kind of aesthetic here with that unshrouded cylinder. Me personally, I would have preferred that they put a shroud on that. One of the other complaints you'll see is on the little white markings for heritage on here. Of course, our old Smith, everything's just engraved. I don't mind that. It's fine. Especially at a distance, it looks pretty freaking good. So let's, like I said, this comes dry as a bone. Thank you, old Smith, for sticking around. But we don't need you anymore. We're gonna work on this. The upsides to these is the easy disassembly. So we're gonna start on the left-hand side with the cylinder ejection rod. Not the ejection rod, the ejector lever. Forgot what that's called. So get this little short flat head, and all you'll need for this disassembly is a flat head. This piece comes off. This is matte, unblued. And then you will see this little slider piece here. Just get some oil in there. I'm using Ballistol, use whatever you got. Use a Q-tip if you're squeamish. I just get it in there nice and good. Run it a little bit with my hand. Index that back on there. Screw goes back in over the top. You don't want to over tighten these. This screw on every single J-frame caper, it doesn't matter if it's got this Smith & Wesson style ejector lever, that screw will start to back out as you shoot it. You can feel it getting loose in your hand. It'll go from about this much play to like rattling around on the gun, and you just have to tighten that down every once in a while. You don't want to use Loctite on this in my experience, because if you lock it way tight down, it can be hard to run the action, but your mileage may vary. So just run that a few times, get the oil worked in there. Okay, opposite side, of course, we've switched to the 3 screw from the 5 screw. So we've got our cylinder retention screw here, and then just the side plate screw that holds everything on here. So I'm going to crack into both of those. This cylinder retention screw on every single one of these I've had wants to back out on its own. This one does not. I think they actually Loctited this from the factory. So I'm not going to touch it right now, because once you've taken that out, that while you're shooting, bang, 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 this is slowly making, tenth of a turn, tenth of a turn, tenth of a turn, especially if you're shooting hot ammo, like I said, and it will start backing out. Then on your 50th, 60th, 100th round of the day, you go bang, and this spring that's held behind that screw goes ding, flies off into the middle of nowhere, and you go to eject your rounds, and your whole cylinder falls out. And then you're staring at a hole in the side of your gun, and you're looking and hoping nobody's fired steel case ammo. If you're in an indoor range, it's not the end of the world. You can take a little magnet stick. I got one right back there. But yeah, outdoor range, it's gone. So I've spent probably $30 replacing screws on all the different revolvers before I figured out, you know what, let me just put a drop of super glue or Loctite in there. Okay, so that's pretty tight. That doesn't really want to move for me, so I'm not going to mar up any surfaces, and I'm just not going to touch it for right now. You can use one of those little rubber-tipped screwdrivers if you are worried about marring up the bluing. This is a gun my wife is probably going to carry, so it's going to go in and out of pockets, carry purse, etc. And yes, she has a dedicated purse for carrying. It's not just a random purse. So let's see about this side plate screw. And, of course, the grip screw on the other side. We'll take the grip off first. Yeah, I think they definitely put Loctite in there because that's way easier to get off. And these are literally like identical design to this one on the interior. I could probably swap these grips off, which is funny. This screw's threaded all the way. On the old 31s, interestingly, it's only threaded at that last bit. So here you can see we've got our mainspring, our hammer spring here. Insert where we can drop some oil there without taking it all the way down. So let's do exactly that. Get some oil under here just as a preservative. Remember, it's clean, lube, and protect. So we're not slicking anything up here necessarily. We're just trying to make sure everything that's under the wood stays nice and rust-free. Interestingly, this, instead of being a fixed protrusion from the tang, is a roll pin like Taurus's other J-frames. So you could run the polymer grip and just drive that roll pin through there. Very interesting. Okay. Once that's good enough for the ladies you go out with, pop that in there. Match that screw up with the other side and that retaining pin. Flip around. Remember, go gentle on these. You don't have to crank that way down. If you feel the screwdriver start to slip, back off, re-index. Don't just mar up all your surfaces. I'm just getting everything nice and slick so we got a good protective coating against rust and, well, really just rust. Trigger also non-blued. That's just a standard Taurus drop-in trigger. Probably where they're saving some money in here. Okay. Now I need to oil ejector rod. Get it all the way around. Run that. Once I've run it and I've exposed the ejector star here, let me get some on the ejector star and the rod on the other side. Rotate cylinder, make sure that's all the way around. I do feel a little catch right here. Easy enough to press through, and that's something that'll, I'm sure, will work in. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys to tears by doing this all day, but it's a 20-minute video, so you're probably already bored if it's not been helpful yet. I like oil in the front of the cylinder. Do you have to? Especially because it's just going to get dirty in the future? No. But for carry, especially if you're carrying it on your body, you know, when you're not firing it, your sweat, the ambient humidity, all of that is going to be contributing to rust and other types of degradation. I get some on the back face here as well. And a little on the finger. This guy right here. It's just what keeps your cylinder timing. Finger in the hand. Always mix them up. I probably just did. The yoke right here. I'm gonna get some oil in there. And work that back and forth. Trying to see where this is grabbing, but it's pretty tough. Hammering the cylinder feels slick as hell now. Oh yeah. Yeah, there we go. Just a little bit of oil and that's really uncrusting that up. This, still just a little bit more friction than I'd like there to be. Like I said though, now that you've got this all oiled up, when you're practicing your dry fire training on your new gun, and you're getting reps in, right? Trying to pinch your fingers together here. It's not a 357 cylinder, is a little shorter, so. Oof. You keep working that in. And eventually it gets slicker and slicker and easier to run with. Man, nothing looks better than a blued, freshly oiled revolver. It definitely doesn't look like a $350 gun. I'll tell you that. Did a nice job on it. Heritage, that is, not me. I just chucked some oil on there. But yeah, pretty much that's what I do. And then I will take some fluorescent high visibility orange paint and paint this front iron sight. So when you're on a black target and you're looking for these front sights, like I have no idea where I'm aiming here, it's a lot easier to line up when you got that orange. Okay, so yeah, overall first impressions, nice. I'm excited to get this out to the range and give it some test firing. I would say my only things I don't like about this exposed hammer. We've already got modern safety features. Transfer bar back here, so we can safely carry this with 5 in the chamber, and if we drop it, it will not go bang off into the distance. Unlike this old firing pin on hammer design with no transfer bar, where if we're carrying this with 5 in and I go, oops, that has a potential to negligent discharge, or in that case, accidentally discharge, because it is an actual malfunction on the gun's part. So yeah, it's probably so far on paper the only thing I wish it had done. Now, of course, when you're actually ready to shoot and carry this, after you've oiled it, just give it a quick wipe down, especially around the handle. That way it's not sliding all over the place on you. But you should be able to tell my hands are covered in oil, because that's some people are always questioning this old boot design. You know, it's almost a 3-finger grip. If you had big hands, it would be a 3-finger grip. If your hands get sweaty, covered in blood, covered in oil, whatever, can you still index it, get hands on it, have nice retention if you're doing your hand-to-hand retention drills? Yes, that's the answer. It's pretty handleable, and you don't need crazy grip strength for it. So, nice gun so far. Thanks for watching if you did. See ya.